Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, TAMI Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey. Hello, friends. Hello and welcome to another episode. I know it's a little odd lighting, but I kind of want you to go with it because it's a little fairy-ish, fairy lighting coming through right now. So it's okay if you can't really see my face. There's a lot of light beams like coming in this way. And we can adjust that if we need to. But this is our second show on March, the month of March. The first show I did yesterday, which is today because I'm recording them on the same day, but I'll be posting this tomorrow. But was basically a 333 show on self-mastery. Energies coming in to support you in up-leveling between now and the Equinox later this month. Today, I want to go a little bit more into the energies of March. Self-mastery, but in the form of compassion, which has come up. Compassion and confirmation is the overall theme for this month, overarching theme. And so I want to see how those play out in the cards, what wisdom and information that source has for you, that your guides have for you, as we enjoy just hanging out together. First of all, I'm wrapping us in love light and light love. Inviting in the guides who overlight this show, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, the Pleiadians. There is going to be a light language activation somewhere here along the way, or maybe multiple times throughout this episode. Thank you for joining us here. If you're new, thank you for stopping by. Check us out. If you're returning, as always, I thank you for joining me in this special place and space that we've created. I do want to, I've got 3 decks I'll be using today. And just sharing with you a little bit more about what compassion and confirmation has to do with this month. So just up front, I'll be using Pleiadian Power. That's my deck. Yeah, see that light? There's like beams. There's like these beams coming through. We just catch them every now and then. If you're listening to this, there's beams. And you can watch us on YouTube if you want to see what I'm talking about. There's a person back there. There's that person. Oh, never mind. That was part of some other reading. We're using TLC for the soul. And we're using my hand-drawn deck. Dragons. No. Yes. I call it a different name. Never mind. It's wanting to be called something else right now. Just hold on. There's dragons apparently coming through. And I wanted to show the card from the first reading the other day, the card Magic, where I said there was like fireflies in a jar. Has your light been trapped too long? It's time to take the lid off and allow your radiance to fill up the velvet night. And I like the artist, I guess, puts a little note sometimes. Notice this mason jar is filled with light angels and not lightning bugs. So this is another overarching theme for March. And just ongoing, I guess, bringing more magic into your life. How can you do that? how can you open yourself up to actually receive more as well. So, compassion and confirmation. When this theme first came in, I think it was last week sometime, I was kind of like, what does this mean? And it's really an essence of service work, so to speak. So I think this is obviously timeless. You could listen to this whenever you want, but there's a lot, obviously, anytime, anywhere, right? There's a lot going on in the world, outside in the 3D world. You know, some people are calling it the Matrix, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter to me, but there's a lot going on outside of ourselves. So anything that's not within you that's outside of you, and there could be things going on that, you know, you consider to be one way or another. And we talked about divine neutrality and rising above polarity in how we view things that are going on outside of us. And if you want to, you know, listen to that, that is the 333 activation that I did. So you can, that's the one right before this, if you listen to these as they come out. But regardless of what's happening, there's this essence of needing to come to a place of balance within yourself. So that you can stay within your power. Because once you teeter too far to either direction, really, too far to the lower vibrations, or even sometimes too far to the higher vibrations, of certain vibrations that could bring in maybe anxiety, like maybe something really good is going on. So we are going to define them a little bit as good or not good. But something really good is going on and you're getting really excited about it. And it's kind of like the opposite of being anxious, because you're getting really excited about something that's going on. You can then still kind of tip out of balance and off equilibrium and step out of your power a little bit, and even go into more of like an anxious state. And so we're trying to bring balance to just our way of walking in the world, regardless of what's happening around us. And there's this call, this urgent call going out, so to speak, for bringers of the light warriors, light workers, whatever you want to define yourself as, to come into service, come into your soul mission and start living and breathing and working your purpose in the world. And it looks different for everyone. It may not necessarily be being in front of a camera, you know, whatever, doing a video or whatever. But there are other ways we do our service work, and I've talked about that in other videos, how your soul signature might be needed somewhere on the planet, and so you may be being realigned and going somewhere different, so that the harmonics of you are there to help resonate and help kind of hold down and hold the vibration and hold the frequency of the grid lines that are around you wherever you are. Or you may be also at the same time needed, vibration may be needed, soul signature may be needed to help boost the energy of sacred sites. And so some of you may be being redirected, or some of you may already be, like you probably already are, but you may be getting like divine reassigned was one of the other topics that came up for this year. But all of those things, because I've been seeing 333 and 777, but I've been seeing 555 a lot. So lots of changes coming, and just being able to react to those in a calm, peaceful state. But the service work is where the compassion / confirmation comes in, and what Spirit is kind of asking of you, and in return what they're kind of quote unquote, is that even a good word for what they're providing you with? Because reward sounds like you're some sort of Pavlov's dog or something, or like you're doing something to get a reward. I don't think that's really how it works, because you have free will choice. So we're being called into service, and each day, every day that I do my meditation, you know, there's been a big focus on, you know, what's going on with the, specifically right now with the Ukraine and Russia and all of that, and we've been doing. Sometimes I join Shamanism Without Borders, and we do similar things there. But that is part of being in service as well. That is part of working your mission. Even if you are just a solo practitioner, and you are sitting down in a meditation each day, even if it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you're sending, you know, you're sending light, not necessarily your light. You're opening your heart grid and your heart space. You're bringing in spiritual light through your crown, and you're sending out through you as the conduit, the giant living crystal that you are. You're sending out, you know, your prayer. Oh, chills. Your prayers, good vibrations, gold light, pink light, color rays, whatever it is, however you work, because each one of you might work differently. And you're sending out compassionate, loving, healing energy. You're calling in light beings and angels, or whoever, you know, source, higher light beings, and you're asking for, praying for, and being a part of compassionate mercy moving through you and out towards whoever might need it. I mean, and maybe for you it's not, you know, another country. Maybe it's something in your own city or state or your own country. Because everything that is happening has a ripple effect, right? So to counterbalance any lower vibrations that are going on, we amp up our higher vibrations, and we stay in a balance and try to stay out of polarization, so that we're very even. Now, this is not no self-mastery. Like, I'm here on the screen, right? And I do I would say how, like 80 to 90% of the time I'm asking my guides, how good am I at this? They're saying 80 to 90% of the time I'm right there with what I'm telling you. Like, that's how I am being. Now, I'm still learning too. We're a lifetime, well, our soloists never stop learning, but you know, I feel like I've mastered that about 80 to 90% of the time. And then there's, you know, a 10 to 20% of the time when I'm still learning, or Spirit's still presenting me with opportunities to learn and to rise even higher. Like, I'm always saying, like, higher frequency, give me more. I want to continue to rise. I don't ever want to stop at a particular quote unquote level. And right now, because there's always higher levels available to us, the more that we study and the more that we practice and experiment with these energies. But this service work that I'm speaking of, just however it is that you want to, you know, when you want to do it, and you can call in guides to help you with that. Talked about Merlin putting himself out there and saying, you know, I definitely can help with that. Helping direct you, like where, like if you don't know where to direct your focus, the higher light beings can help show you, or you can just bring in all that spiritual energy and just be available as a conduit and just say, you know, send this light wherever it's most needed, and then you don't have to necessarily pick a particular place. Because there's always this, like, am I doing enough? Am I sending enough of good vibes somewhere that really needs it? And I don't know, that's a whole other show too, being a bringer of the light and being concerned that you're still not doing enough. And feeling like whatever you do is never enough. And we get into like overworking and overgiving and all of that. But what I have noticed is, as part of doing this service work, to me, this is service work too, connecting with you all, sharing what I know, what I've learned through many, many lifetimes and in this lifetime, and bringing to you the results of experiments that I've done with my own energy and how that's worked for me. If you want to try it for yourself. This month we are going to be working with the book Eat Like a Lemurian, which is my book. We are going to be trying to bring in some of the practices that were shared in that book by the Lemurians and the Pleiadians. Later on this month, we'll be doing a little self-mastery class with some of that, doing some experiments with some of that. But as I've shared from a compassionate heart of myself, of my energy, of my vibe, in this service to others, through daily meditation and all of that, then I find that I receive more and more confirmation of what's going on in my own journey. So messages, signs, serendipity, synchronicity of what I need to know. And I can go search for that, but I find like Spirit is just very forthcoming. It's kind of like this balanced give and take. Like I do a little bit of service work, and then some sign or some synchronicity or some message comes through of what I most need to know right now. So it's kind of like this, the confirmations this month are going to be increasing. So we're at this point in the energetics right now where many of you have been working for quite a long time on certain manifestations. Could be, involving relationships, career, finances. It could be a myriad of things. But you've almost reached this, and so we've reached this tipping point where on the February 22nd of this year, kind of the door kind of closed on the old and opened on the new. And if you've been doing your work, your soul work and your spiritual work on yourself, then many of you watching this are ready to receive the rewards of much, much, much hard work, shadow work, and working in with darkness and healing and clearing, not just for yourself, but ancestral lines and, lots of stuff, bloodlines and karmic stuff and all of that stuff. And you're ready to receive these blessings. And as the time for the physical manifestation of some of those things starts coming through, then the confirmations of them actually happening, because for a lot of you, this has been a faith and trust journey for many years. Possibly you've been asked to keep going, keep having faith, keep trusting, don't give up hope, continue to stay the course. And that has been part of the journey, is learning patience, learning to enjoy the journey along the way, and learning to trust in source or trust in a higher power to deliver your order as it's been prepared for you. And so the confirmations, meaning the Spirit's way of kind of letting you know, like, it's still coming, it's actually getting closer. You're going to start to get more and more confirmation from source and from your guides that these things that you want are coming to fruition. And you'll be getting them from all different, you might open up your YouTube feed or something and you'll see something pop up there that's meant, that's meant just now lately. If I scroll my feed, even if I don't watch the videos, if I just look at the description of some of them or things that show up, like those are already messages, like tons of them are just there. Because I really don't scroll like social media so much anymore. But if I look just even at my YouTube feed, sometimes I don't even have to like go into that. Songs coming up, to be played on your phone or on your radio or whatever. Stuff out in nature. The confirmations are going to increase. So you're being asked, as a show of good faith, to open up your compassionate heart and to amp up your service work this month. They're saying ongoing, but it seems like March, April, May and June. So for the next 3 or 4 months, to amp up, open up your compassionate heart and try to do more service work if you possibly can, because it's needed right now. Even if you reach one person, it has a ripple effect. And in so doing, you're also going to see increased levels of confirmation about things you've been asking about. It's not that you won't get confirmation if you don't do service work, but we're at a level of our journey where there has to be this reciprocity in a way, in a sense. And I think you guys have gotten really good at realizing like how karma works, and the more good you do, the more good you get, and the more that you might put out something that you don't want, the more you're going to get something that you don't want back, and tenfold. So I think you realize like, well, hey, maybe if I have the opportunity, because we are moving into the action-oriented months of the year, that you can amp up or up your game in terms of what you're doing to be of service, as your energy allows. I mean, it's not always going to be like every day you're running around doing service work, but I do say that I do my meditation and we do focus on service in addition to just meditating to bring in, meditating for our own benefit. We do service as part of the meditation every single day. I do that every single day for like 20 minutes. So I do want to get into the cards and just see anything more that the cards want to share about that topic for March. It seems like as I tap into this month of March, outside of myself, I know there's a lot going on that could be hectic and chaotic and crazy, and I've been asked not to share that until next month. So there's a lot going on in my 3D world that's going to be a little bit like tower moment going on. But I feel like if I can continue to stick with my meditation practice, which helps me be very 0 point, then I hope my intention is to try and stay as evenly mannered as possible. And so I feel like maybe for you all, because I'm seeing these 555s everywhere, that maybe there are some things like that happening in your own physical 3D world. And if you can find a way to bring balance, bring yourself to 0 point as much as possible, use all your self-mastery skills, then you can ride through. And I'm not talking about anything that's like majorly like, there we go with polarity again, but it's not like anything bad is happening like tower moment. It's actually really good stuff is happening tower moments, but they're still big and can kind of throw you off a little bit. So no matter how you want to define the 555 moments that are happening in your life, the more you can be 0 point about it, which is where you go in your meditation. If you don't know what I'm talking about, 0 point, like when you meditate, there's this point where you just get super still. And for me, like I feel it was like I can't even explain how it feels. It's just kind of like everything stops around, and it's just like me in this kind of like my own little wormhole / the whole like energetic field. And it's very zen and still. It's like stillness. That's kind of what it is. It's like a portal of stillness. And the more you can, and now I've gotten so good at it because I practice every single day of doing that even speaking to you now with my eyes open, if I just stopped talking, I would be right there at that point. But let's just bang on the cards here a little bit and see what the Pleiadian Power Deck wants to say about this month. So there's then bring in the light language. Okay, they've given me 3 cards. So the first one was power. Here we go. Nothing can stop you now. Keep going. Pretty self-evident. The next one is Pleiadian Power Message. Nourish your dream as you would a small child. This is just what we talked about, not giving up yet. Don't give up. Well, you can give up if you want. You have free will choice. You can change your mind, but things are happening. Things are starting to solidify now. And so keep honoring your dreams, knowing that the cooks in the kitchen, so to speak, are still working on your manifestations. And you will start to see increased confirmation of of those happening. And then the last card for the month is Be Strong and Never Give Up. Last card for the month. The last card that came out right now is Be Strong and Never Give Up. Time to care for your own needs. Rest, self-care, and reflection are called for now. Finding that balance between being action-oriented and being still and resting and taking care of yourself. And all the while kind of overarching that, like how can you bring magic into each of those moments? I just want to pull a couple from the TLC for the soul deck. This is the first little tiny deck I created to see if there's anything more on these three that they want me to pull out. Love came out. I do want to read, because these all had channeled messages. What is that? Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, the love card, the channeled message was, all that you desire is tied to the love you have in your heart. The desire and passion make the things real, but it's the love in your heart that houses and nurtures the dream. What did we just talk about with this nurture? Oh, and it's coming out under nurture your dream. It's the love in your heart that houses and nurtures the dream. It's funny, I'm laughing because it says it's the love in your heart that houses and nurtures the dream. And somebody just sent me a text message talking about houses. It was funny. But it's the love in your heart that houses and nurtures the dream, from a tiny sapling to a big, beautiful tree. Your soul is asking you now to let love in with all its glory and splendor. Ask your angels now to help you crack your heart open even wider. Allow and intend that your heart is open to universal love, and then relax, knowing that it is so. So there's that, and then let me just pull up the other deck. I don't know why I can't remember the name of it right now. Holy smokes, my brain. And from this deck we got 3 cards. The first one is, all is not as it seems. Illusions surround you. Wait. Card number 16, which is a 7. So things are moving forward. Confirmations are coming in, but you still don't have all the answers yet. There's still more coming. There's still more like good stuff they're coming. So sometimes when I get this card, I'm like, well, I don't like this card. What is it talking about? I mean, I channeled it in, but I'm like, illusions surround me. So all they're saying is everything's fine, but until you get your final manifestation in 3D physical form in front of your face, like, don't give up. And illusions surround you is just, it's more like magical illusions this time, they're saying. So more like all these confirmations I'm talking about are gonna seem like magic to you, like a magical, like pulling a rabbit out of a hat kind of illusions. And that they want you, your guide, source, wants you to be like surprised. I think Esther Hicks says this, Abraham and Esther say this a lot too, like they want you to be surprised and delighted with your manifestation. And so again, you're being asked to, it goes back to nourishing that and sticking with it and honoring it and trusting that it's coming and getting excited about it. So now is the time to get excited about what's going to come for you. Especially if you've been nourishing this thing for quite some time now. Some things that are happening in my 3D world coming up here have been 5 to 6 years in the making. And I kind of forgot about them. And then they just kind of were like manifested, like that. And I was like, oh gosh. Things that I very detailed wrote out as something I wanted to manifest 6 years ago just kind of happened like that. Other things are still happening, and I really only have 5D, confirmation and what source is giving me. But so I still need to make, not that I'm constantly focused on that, but I still am like, okay, I still want this. I think that comes up a lot too. You're tested at each gate and portal as to whether you still really want your manifestation or not. So you may be asked to continue to choose it, quote unquote, choose it at certain times when the energies are very strong, or when you're getting ready to timeline jump, or when we're getting ready as a collective to timeline jump, or a portal opens up, like something like Lion's Gate, or even this 222 portal thing that happened last month. Something may come up to test you and make you, quote, kind of reaffirm, like, I still want this, because Spirit is just like, okay, you have free will choice. We're just making sure you still, as you level up, are you still taking this intention, this manifestation with you, this dream with you? And so you'll be asked, no one necessarily comes out and consciously like says, I'm asking you if you come, but you'll be put in situations where you'll affirm like, oh, yes, I still want this. I don't want that. I still want this. And so you'll continue on with that. The other card that came up is Skeletal. And the crown is accentuated on this card with a plus sign in the middle of what would be the head of a little person here. It's very small. I don't even know if you, oh, there, I got really close to the camera. It's like a stick person with a round head, but there's like a plus sign and the crown. And then the body of the person is highlighted in yellow. So when I had these this Ascension upgrade with all the physical symptoms I told you guys about, where I was January 22nd, it felt like a cold or whatever, but it's lasted. It's still almost here. You guys can still hear me clearing my throat. It still hasn't completely stopped yet. So a massive like throat chakra, higher heart upgrade. But one of the things that got upgraded was the spinal column. And so for you guys, you may be feeling like warmth in the spine. As you bring in and you continue to do your spiritual practices, more spiritual light comes down through the crown, opens up your ascension column, and continues, to bring in higher light frequencies to upgrade you. And some of you, this has already happened. Others, this is getting ready to start, they're saying. But if you feel heat in your spinal column, if you have any weird, I think I might have experienced it first so I could share it with you. But I had during that period of time, which like the first 2 weeks of when I was, I'm just going to say sick because it was like a sickness. But when I was upgrading, I'll just say upgrading. When I was upgrading, the first 2 weeks of that process, there was some updates and upgrades to my spinal column. The spinal fluids, I'm just channeling this, the spinal fluids were changing in a sense and being redefined, and the new light was being like brought in. But I had the worst like muscle spasms and pain on the muscles surrounding the spinal column, to where there were like a couple of days in a row where I just laid in the tub with like Epsom salts, because I was like, what am I supposed to do? This is just, it was so uncomfortable and so painful. So I'm not saying that's how it's going to be for you, but they are showing me like ascension, like upgrades to the 3D body with this card for this month. So just be aware that that's coming through. And then the last card we got is, it's not over till it's over, or is it? Only the heart knows. So this goes back to free will choice. This goes back to manifestations coming through, and also knowing when things are ending, when maybe situations or people or spaces or places are being removed from your reality. As you move to a higher and higher frequency, things will fall away. And you should already know by the time they're falling away that they were no longer meant for you. Like, your heart should be really good at figuring out frequencies that are no longer aligned with you. Oh, it's going to get noisy here. And giving you a chance to affirm that you no longer resonate with those, so they can be removed from your reality. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the light language. Hopefully that person will move away from my window. It's like a air blower thing. We're going to bring in some Pleiadian and Lyran light language to kind of, I just still feel like I want to do some child's play stuff in the next episode. We are going to bring in the Pleiadians and Freddie Mercury. But this one we're delivering, what kind of light language is this? You're bringing me to this book again. Okay, they've had me pull out this Wrinkle in Time book. I just want to see where it's going, because for a while now, well, every now and then I hear the word Tesseract, and I can't remember like where I've heard it. And then the Spirit keeps telling me, like, you heard it in this book. And then it's like, say, I don't know if it's necessarily called sacred jump. It's more like a worm, physical representation of like a wormhole, so to speak. And I just want to see, like, they have me fanning this book. So let's just see. My marker is, let me remember where my marker's at. Okay, let me see if there's something they want me to read from this book. This is Madeleine L'Anglais and A Wrinkle in Time. Okay, the right side. This was the moment for which she had been waiting, not only since Mrs. Witch whisked them off on their journeys, but during the long months and years before, when the letters had stopped coming, when people made remarks about Charles Wallace, when Mrs. Murray showed a rare flash of loneliness or grief. This way, the moment that meant that now and forever everything would be all right. As she pressed against her father, all was forgotten except joy. There was only the peace and comfort of leaning against him, the wonder of the protecting circle of his arms, the feeling of complete reassurance and safety that his presence always gave her. Her voice broke on a happy sob. Oh, Father, Meg," he cried in glad surprise. "Meg, what are you doing here? Where's your mother? Where are the boys?" She looked out of the column, and there was Charles Wallace in the cell, an alien expression distorting his face. She turned back to her father. There was no more time for greeting, for joy or explanations. So this book is about, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, and I have only read up to like page 96, but it's some children, the mom, the father disappears, and he's gone off like really through this wormhole, and the kids are working with these higher light beings to bring him back again. Oh, I got so many chills. And they use this tesseract as a way of traveling between dimensions and stuff, trying to go find him. But I love this. This is for those of you who have been manifesting a relationship. This is the moment that they reunite or reunion with the dad in the book. So I guess a special little confirmation for those of you. This is the moment when the reunion of this relationship. Now I know this is like a daughter and a son, but for those of you manifesting a relationship, this is the moment of reunion energy coming in, when souls that love each other very much are reunited on their journey. through the help of higher light beings. All right, let's bring this light language through. So let's all take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Just waiting for the leaf blower people to go by. Stop the video for a second and pull one last card from Pleiadian Power. So this is what's happening this month. Your consciousness is expanding. So I hope you'll join me next time. We'll bring in Freddie Mercury and the Pleiadians. We'll romp around outside a little bit. And then I think I'm going to try my best to go back to weeklies with Abigail and Dakar. That's kind of like our coffee talk time when I can kind of be a little bit more just sharing about, stuff that's going on and hang out with you guys. So I want to thank you so much for joining me here. And I will see you all again soon in the next episode. Take care.